Welcome to the Pitch of Discontent. It is our weekly roundup episode 173, I think.
Don't know, dude.
Yeah, no, that's the one. I am Owen.
I'm Paige.
And welcome back to the show. Paige, I'm noticing a new look from last week.
Again, I'm dressed exactly the same as last week. I don't know what you mean.
Listeners, watchers can consult the record to prove that that is incorrect. But please go on. What's the look inspired by this time?
Well, this week I'm being demure. I'm being very mindful.
Of course.
I'm wearing this beret, which is cutesy. I'm not showing too much chi-chi.
Chi-chi is a technical term for
clavicle.
Boobage.
I suppose, yeah. But then boobage is also a technical term for breasts.
Okay.
Also cleavage.
Breasticles. Mammaries.
Yeah. I'm keeping with the theme. Internet pressured me again. Although I have to say I am passionately against policing how women wear at work.
Mm-hmm.
It should always be a conversation of if someone's showing up to work smelling bad in their pajamas, it should be about their mental health and not what they're fucking wearing.
Yeah. Also, I feel like if you don't deal with customers face to face, it shouldn't matter at all.
It shouldn't. I mean, people will say shit like, well, if you're in a corporate setting, like you have to dress corporately professionally. And I think that that's very natural. Like people just do that. So if someone isn't, it shouldn't be a conversation about how much of a shit employee they are somehow.
Yeah.
It should be a conversation of like, what's going on with you? What's going on? Are you okay? You doing
I hope
right?
all of the listeners who tuned in for our alternative music podcast are loving this digression.
Care about my workplace
into
opinions.
corporate workwear. Well, thank you.
But I think I nailed Demure.
I think you nailed Demure. Hit us up in the comments in the chat. Do we like the look? Is it demure? Is it giving modest and mindful?
Fun fact, this is the lipstick I wore religiously when Owen and I first met.
Mm-hmm.
The lipstick.
The classic.
Don't use out-of-date makeup.
Ooh.
But it's the same one.
Very good. I like it.
Thanks, honey. I like it too.
I have a few shout-outs before we get into the main show. We had Aaron from the band Regionals on the show last week. He kind of came through in a pinch.
Absolute legend.
And did a quick little Zoom interview for us.
I loved it. It was good flow, good banter.
It was good. They have a new record out called Spoonbender. If you've not watched the episode, go watch it after this one and then go listen to Spoonbender, the record. It's really, really good. Shout out to Aaron for coming on the show. You're a legend. I would also like to shout out the new Spectral Wound album. It's called Songs of Blood and Mire. If you're into like frosty black metal stuff, but also has like fun riffs and solos and a little bit of just like, you know, black and roll death rock sort of shit in there, hit that up. It's very fun. There's a song on it called like anti-spiritual social black metal or something like that. It's great.
Yeah, sweet. I'd like to give a shout out to the same 6 bands I've been listening to since high school. You know who you are.
Really keep it in touch. Thank you so much. And I've got one more album to shout out, which is the debut record from a band called Locked Shut. We featured them on the show when Chris was filling in as host.
Yep.
The record is called
Usurper.
Yeah, the Usurper. The record is called The New Chaos. It rips. It's just fun, hardcore punk stuff with a little bit of groove. If you're into, you know, stuff like Trapped Under Ice, check it out. If you're into Turnstile, check it out.
Who is it?
If you're into a sweet little Venn diagram
Turnstile.
sweet spot in between those two things, you might like it.
You may.
You may. That's all I've got for stuff at the top of the show. Should we get into side A? Go through some tracks?
I think so.
Let's do it.
Let's put on that record.
First up for this week, I have a surprising change in sound from a band that we haven't talked about in a while. So last time we heard from St. Louis trio Foxing.
St. Louis.
St. Louis. St. Louis. St. Louis. St. Louis.
St. Lou.
Yeah, the trio is called Foxing. We last covered them In the newsletter before the podcast was a thing, way back in the year of 2021, they had a record called Draw Down the Moon, which was my first kind of real introduction to the band. They've been around for a few years, but I only kind of became aware of them through that record.
Okay.
I compared it to blurring the lines between alternative, indie, and pop. There was like sticky choruses, some glorious synth stuff, very dreamy vocals. It kind of sounded like Manners era Passion Pit, which was like a weird kind of throwback for me. Well, last month they announced that their upcoming 5th LP was coming out. They did it with a 23-minute press conference where there was no audience. There was a bunch of empty seats, and on all the empty seats, they just had music publications, as in like they held a press conference, but no one came. Weird.
Honestly, that's incredible.
And then they announced that the new album is going to be self-titled, self-produced, self-recorded, and they are self-releasing it on their own Grand Paradise label on September 13th. So a fully DIY affair.
If they'd told us, we would have come to their press conference.
Exactly.
Send us the invite.
Where was our chair? I don't know. They then released a 8-minute lead single called Greyhound, which is like a really slow burn noise rock kind of track.
Yeah. Okay.
So definitely signaling that they're swinging in a like wildly different direction.
They're getting weird with it.
They've dropped a new single, which shout out to Ian, listener of the show. He DM'd me about it and was like, hey, have you listened to these new Foxing singles? They are wild.
Thanks, bestie.
And now I have, and we're going to talk about it on the show.
And here we are.
So this is the most recent single. This is Foxing, Hell 99.
All right, let's check it out.
So, in terms of contrast, what are we thinking?
I think that I can see a through line. It's still definitely the same band.
Yes.
It's mostly in like the mix, especially the vocal mix. There's like a lot of consistencies there. I haven't heard him scream like that before, and he kind of sounds like Plankton from SpongeBob SquarePants.
Okay.
And I mean that in a good way. It makes him sound like unique and interesting and like sonically different.
Yeah, and I guess like for people following along, like I played you Draw Down the Moon, the title track from the last record, which is like this like upbeat, slick, Modest Mouse-esque sounding indie rock track.
Yeah.
Which like the actual single, Hell 99, sounds like pop or like some kind of fucking crazy like screamo Jason song.
It's really good.
I didn't know the band had it in them, to be perfectly honest.
It's a completely different sound, but I think they nailed both.
Yeah, I think it's really good. I just wasn't really prepared for that kind of swing.
Pivot, yeah.
And the 2 singles from the record so far are that and like an 8-minute slow burn noise rock track.
I think that's sick. They should do that with every record. Just try an entirely different genre. You get so exhausted.
And we've talked about this before, but like calling an album self-titled is like this clear kind of statement of intent of kind of like a reset of like, this is what the band is now. So I just think that's curious.
Maybe this is where they're going.
They went from arguably their poppiest record to something much more off-kilter, left field, abrasive.
It's risky.
Yeah,
for sure. But it's cool.
It's sick.
I think it's good enough to stand on its own.
Totally.
So yeah, I'm really keen to see what comes out from these guys.
I want to hear the whole record and see like what other kind of twists and turns are in store.
Look at the stones they got on them, you know?
Next up, I have another one that's kind of interesting for you. So we have a new album from a band called Thy Catafalque. Have you heard of them before?
No, I don't think so.
They're like an avant-grade metal kind of project. It's kind of born out of a multi-instrumentalist guy called Tamas Katai. He's kind of like the mastermind of it. The band originally started in 1998 as like a fiery black metal band.
Okay.
And then over time, they've kind of grown and explored a bunch of different sounds and genres. They're up on their 12th LP, which is coming out later this year. Now, I sat on Google Translate for a while to be able to pronounce this record because it is in Hungarian. I will fuck it up, but I'm going to give it a try. It is called a Gonyaro Almak Etuzen Gonek, which Google Translate tells me is beautiful dreams come after this.
I can't believe you even tried.
I gave it a red hot go.
That's crazy, dude.
Apologies to all of our Hungarian listeners and watchers for me butchering that, but you're welcome.
I mean, they probably don't mind, but the Duolingo owl is coming for your blood.
Sorry, dog.
He's going to appear here.
But that is the title of the band's 12th LP. It's coming out on November 15th through Season of Mist. And I guess it's an interesting record. And the reason I put it on the show is that, like, for a band that started off doing, like, Eastern European black metal, they've now kind of transformed into something way more diverse. This record was recorded in Katai's native Hungary, but then also across the world in the UK, Romania, Ukraine, Italy, Spain, Greece, Macedonia, Israel, the US, Colombia, Brazil, whole fucking range of places.
Not Australia, though.
Not Australia.
You didn't want to add a bit of that ochre?
It's not a world tour because he didn't come to Australia. But
I would have allowed go to New Zealand or something would have been fine.
And it also features 20 plus guest musicians.
Wow.
A bunch of familiar faces from inside and outside of the Hungarian metal scene. So it's a truly collaborative thing. And I just thought the single, or the most recent lead single, was like super interesting and not what I expected from them.
Is that the theme of the week? Just like shock releases? I
mean, I guess so. We'll see as the episode goes on, but you can tell me. So this is the title track from the record. I'm not going to do the Hungarian again. For Beautiful Dreams, Come After This by Thy Catafalque.
All right. Well, I'm glad you didn't do the Hungarian again. I'm pretty sure the Duolingo owl is summoned if you mispronounce something like 3 times in front of a mirror.
Like Candyman.
Yeah.
Duolingo.
Well, I've seen Bloody Mary, like, or Beetlejuice.
All right, let's jump into it.
Ez a kút, látod kiapat, ez az erdő, holnap leborul.
What did you think about that?
I really loved it.
It's fun.
It's super fun. Yeah.
It's like super fun. The like lead line is like super catchy and interesting. The little like synth layers that kind of like go underneath and kind of add all these little like melodic accents.
What was Arnold Schwarzenegger's like first big breakout film?
I don't know.
Barbarian? Is that what it's called?
Conan the Barbarian?
Yeah, this could be in that.
In Conan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
I can see that.
For sure.
I guess like the band's trajectory reminds me most of a band called Solstifer.
I feel like I couldn't think of the band. I still don't know if that's the band, but there's some band that I was like...
Well, they're like an Icelandic black metal band.
That's what I thought.
And then they kind of like slowly transitioned into like post-metal.
Yeah.
And then just like...
But there's a weird overlay of the two.
Well, they just went into like rocky sort of stuff.
Yeah.
For a lack of a better term, like traditional rock that just has like a weird Eastern European folky kind of avant-gardeness to it.
Yeah.
Which I think is very much what Katai is working with here. I mean, the lyrics are all in Hungarian, so I can't really pass what the song is necessarily about, but it's the title track from a record called Beautiful Dreams, Are Yet to Come. So like, I feel...
Maybe it's about beautiful dreams that are yet to come.
Yeah, perhaps. That might be a reasonable assumption, I feel.
I feel like that might be what it's about.
Anyway, I just thought this was super cool. And out of all the metal releases that dropped last week, and there was a bunch,
Yeah.
this is the one that kind of stuck with me just because I was like curious about what's going on.
What's with this time of the year with releases?
It's just a busy time.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a lull period towards the end of July, early August, which I think is just like, I don't know, like a mid-year kind of like a lull point.
End of financial year sale, like EB Games.
Yes.
Just everything in red.
Kind of. But yeah, end of the month is a really big time for releases. You usually get a lot of stuff backed up towards the end of the month. So same thing again, September,
Yeah, but have you
October.
noticed like towards the end of the year is always like your big hits? Like that's when the biggest releases start coming out. Like especially once you get closer to Halloween sort of time. I don't know. And also there's way more parties towards the end of the year. Like
Are you working towards a thesis here? What are you
I kind of feel like maybe we all just start winding down a little bit, and so there's more room for like consumption of media or something like that.
I mean, maybe. I think obviously like labels and stuff try and spread stuff out throughout the year.
Yeah, but there's a dead zone as well.
Well, yeah, but it naturally kind of coheres around like certain points.
Yeah.
And then there's usually always like a couple of dead weeks where not much comes out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there is
looking at you, January.
There is definitely a pattern there.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next track for Side A this week, we have Brisbane/Meanjin metalcore outfit Wildheart.
Cute.
Are you familiar with these guys?
I have heard of Wildheart, yes.
Yeah.
I think they've opened for a few bands.
Yeah, they've definitely been around for a few years. I've seen them on lineups and shows and stuff. They have a melodic new single out, and it is their first with a little bit of a lineup change. So the band's former vocalist, Ugamba man Axel Best, has moved to guitar to kind of deal with some ongoing anxiety issues that he had as kind of like a frontman for a band.
Someone crippled by stage fright? Respect.
So he's moved to guitar, and they've passed the mic over to new member Dane Evans, friend of the show. And Dane is a member of a Byron hardcore band called Crime Scene. He was also in Deceiver, Sink or Swim, bunch of local bands, a little bit of a Byron legend, but he's now in the band as the frontman, and they've released a new single called Withered, and this one is great. It's reminding me of a band that I wish people would put more respect on from way back in the day called It Prevails.
Yeah, I know It Prevails. I loved It Prevails.
Great band.
Yeah.
And they just did like a really good melodic metalcore sound.
And they had a great vocal tone.
Yes.
Super
and I feel like
unique.
With Dane in the mix now, like they kind of have a very similar vibe to them.
Nice. Yeah. So I could see that.
I'm enjoying it. I have word on the street there's more new stuff coming. But for the moment,
we got the inside tell.
This is our first taster.
You heard it here first.
So let's jump in. This is Wildheart, Withered.
Let's do it.
All right, now when that one kicked in, you said feels like home. So
yeah, the nostalgia vibes.
Yes, very much kicking it back to like a late 2000s, early 2010s metalcore sound, which is great.
Yeah, for sure. Bringing some fucking Kellen Quinn on the vocals. I never understand how you guys can sound like that and hit that range and not just sound nasally. Like I would just sound like it would, I can't not sing out of my face when I hit that register. It's amazing. You're very talented. Fuck you.
I think I've definitely been following Wildheart for a while, especially when Axel was, fronting the band, and like, no shade to him and what they were doing. Like I thought they were a great band.
There. Yeah.
I just think
there's a lot of pressure.
Of course, there's a lot of pressure to like move away from that position, move to guitar, and then have someone step in your place.
Yeah.
And like a lot of pressure for Dane, I imagine, to come into an already established band with the guy that you're replacing still in the band.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm sure they're all like brothers and stuff. So like I'm sure it's all good.
I feel like I'm a bit of a wallflower, so I could totally understand, like, especially when you're that talented of a guitarist too, like just wanting to, like, if your joy is more about the music than performing, which my joy is also about performing. We got a fucking double-edged sword over here, but I can understand being the two different types of, like, I really just enjoy playing music.
Sure.
Whereas frontmen enjoy performing, making, and playing music. It's a different, you looking for different things.
Yeah. What's interesting is, like, I know Dane is also a guitarist, and like in Crime Scene he plays guitar. Yeah. So like I feel both him and Axel,
there's probably an understanding.
They probably get it of like, you know, in one band I prefer to just do riffs. In another band I want to sing, and I have two outlets to to switch between those two.
Definitely.
So that's dope. But yeah, I think it's a cool progression for them.
I loved it.
That might be the most like immediate kind of catchy song that they've done yet, which I think bodes well for
I feel like
where they're going.
Write about how much you hate small towns, and everyone in rural Australia is going to be on this shit immediately.
It's relatable content.
It's relatable. It sounds exactly like the music that I was listening to when I hated said town.
Perfect. Moving on, I've got another Australian band for you. Are you familiar with Melbourne/Naarm based alt rockers Belle Haven?
Yes. Yeah.
So they have announced a new EP. It's called Something New. Get it? And it's coming out on October 4th.
Because it's a new EP? Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I needed a minute.
First single from the new record is called Faux Love, and it was produced by Jack Newland, who's worked with Between You and Me and Bukowski, and mixed by James Paul Wisner, who's done Paramore and Under Oath.
So what kind of alternative love are they using? Are we talking like avocado love? Are we talking like...
It's faux love. Fox love.
Faux love as in fake love.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what kind of love? What's the alternative? What are they making it out of? It still has to be ethically sourced love, is what I'm saying.
Well, I have a quote here from frontman David Delahoyes, who talks about his inspiration behind the track. He says, quote, "Lyrically, Faux Love delves into the intricate and conflicting emotions of craving love and intimacy while simultaneously fearing it. It's a paradox that I live every day. The line, 'Love me with the lights down low,' highlights the desire to be loved without the vulnerability of fully being seen, while the line, 'Sinking into you,' portrays how the pursuit of love can quickly become overwhelming and feel out of my control."
Yeah, it's very scary to let people in at an intimate level, for sure.
Being vulnerable
and
is
also,
hard.
making love with the lights down low can also be a stimulation factor because the big light is the bad light.
The bad light.
It's the bad fucking light.
Gotta have the good light.
You gotta have the nice light, the lamp light.
The candle light.
The candle light. Romantic.
Cool. Well, let's jump into the song and we can talk about what kind of love it is on the other side. This is Belle Haven, Faux Love.
Let's do it.
I still know I can feel it too, like I'm sinking into you, sinking into you. I can feel it too, like I'm sinking into you, sinking into you. Does it ever cross your mind that any single night could be the last night? I think you when you leave every single time.
Thoughts?
I loved it.
It's super cool for them. I was talking to you while we were listening to it. They're like,
definitely not that early 2000 shit.
Well, they've just had such an interesting progression. Like, I remember when they were doing like a more chaotic metalcore sound. I think they went over and toured with Norma Jean in the US. David, who we quoted before, like has a Chariot song. Like, like with his name on it. But like, I guess that just highlights that like bands can change and progress in their sound and move into different genres. And like they do this incredibly well. Impeccable songwriting. That chorus is off its fucking head.
So good.
It's so catchy.
It's incredibly catchy.
Yeah,
I like the I like that drop. Very random note change but stims, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just stuck in my head now.
And I just think, like, going back to the quote from David, like, knowing that it is about this desire for intimacy, but also the paradox of, like, not wanting to be vulnerable and open to someone, I think kind of does get to the heart of, like, where the titillation and tension from, like, lust and sex and desire comes from. It's like wanting to give yourself fully to someone, but then also not wanting to get hurt.
Yeah.
So, like, you're constantly pushed and pulled between those two poles, and eventually with the right person in the right time and place, like, you kind of just let go of it. Hey. So anyway, I think cool song, excited for the EP.
Me too.
Love having Belle Haven back.
Yeah, definitely rad. Interesting. What else? Do you think that they will keep going with this theme then?
I don't know. We'll
It's
see.
cool.
We'll check out the EP.
It's a very open door for this EP.
It is, very much so.
Okay.
Last song for side A this week, we have Singapore's Lion City hardcore flag bearers Fuse.
Mhm.
They have come through with a raging new single called War. I wanted to feature this one this week, not only because it's a sick track, it's a short, punchy little
Man,
hardcore
what
track.
is up with you? We got Faux Love, we got War. Where's the happy?
Fuse are making their Australian debut right now. They are on tour with a gang called Speed.
No way. Welcome to Down Under.
Gross.
I'm trying to be demure.
Why'd you have to get all blokey with it? What the fuck? Yeah, they're on tour with Speed, Pain and Truth, and High Vis. We've got tickets to see them next week or this week for people watching this episode. So,
Well, technically it depends on which day you think starts the week.
I mean, I guess today is Sunday, so technically this week. Sure, that's fine. But yeah, we're going to see them in a couple of days, so I'm pumped for that.
We need to book a sitter for our dog.
We do. The whole tour lineup is sick. If you like hardcore punk, you'll like this. I don't know what else to tell you. This is Fuse, War.
All right, let's do it. That was sick.
It rips.
Yeah.
Yes.
Holy shit. And what a great pairing with Speed. And I'm really keen for this show.
Yeah, I think back when we had Jem on the show, like way back in the beginning, like our 20th episode or some shit, he put together a hit list of Asian hardcore bands.
He did.
And Fuse were one of the bands that he shouted out. So that's definitely when I got put.
I also listened to
had them on
that
my
pop
radar.
artist. I can't remember her name now.
She was like a Thai or Vietnamese
But
like
I
pop
love
artist.
her music. I listen to her all the time.
Yeah, he had a great hit list.
He
It's
had
so
an
sick.
incredible hit list.
Go back and check out Jem's episode. It's
Can't
really
recommend
good.
it enough.
Yeah. No, these guys are great. And this song in particular, like, just has all the elements that I love about just like no frills hardcore punk. Like a great little like bass rumble at the start. There's a nice like break in the middle that goes into like the circle pit section. Good vocals. Nice tight rhythm section. Like it's all sick.
Yeah, for sure.
Keen to see live how it translates.
Me too.
The whole bill is crazy.
The energy is insane.
We are going to the all ages show at Stay Gold with like no barrier, so it's going to be fucking good. I hope the kids go nuts.
Bring the energy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, all these bar shows haven't had the energy lately.
No, I'm keen for a nice like rowdy show.
Yeah. I mean, I'll stand at the back making no movements or noise, but I will be much more appreciative of a rowdy and noisy crowd.
It's a young kid's game. Let them get it.
I've retired to the back to the wallflowering.
Yes. That brings us to the end of side A for this episode. Let's swing on over to side B and keep the show going. If you would like to see that, jump on over and sign up to the TPD Patreon.
Come hang out with us over there.
Come hang out and watch the rest of the show over there.
A little bit more juicy content. But thanks for coming for this part as well and supporting us however you can.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching the show.
We love you.
Let's do side B.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Subscribe now to the Pitch of Discontent Patreon to receive access to extended cuts of our bonus episodes, as well as exclusive behind-the-scenes content, monthly Patreon-only episodes, member-only votes, the TPD community chat, and much more. Go now to patreon.com/tpdpod and join for as little as $5 a month. That link again is patreon.com/tpdpod. Thanks for watching the show.